here from Everything Tech, and today I'm going to show you how to update the firmware on your digital camera. This is quite an easy process and everyone can do it. I mean, everyone really can do it because it's as simple as downloading a file and transferring it over to your camera. First, let's get set up and take out the memory card of our camera, together with verifying what firmware we are using. Okay, so pick up your camera, and as you can see, you can turn on your camera and the display will come on. And your memory card might be in a different position, maybe down here, maybe on the left hand side here. Mine is on the right hand side here. Just need to slide this panel and remove the memory card. Okay, now let's find out what firmware version we have on our camera. To do this, on a D5200, all you need to do is click the menu button right here on the top left, and then go into the wrench just there, go to the right, and then go up, and there's a firmware version. Don't know if you can see it properly, probably not due to the contrast, but believe me, the firmware version is there. Okay, just click on that, and there you go. And the version that I've got is C 1.02 and L 1.006, and then just click done. This is useful because you might not need to update the firmware on your camera, and if you don't need to update it, there's no point in going through this process. But if you do need to update it, follow me to my computer and let's get that done. And let's get that file downloaded from the Nikon website. All you need to do is go on Google and type in Nikon firmware. And what you're looking for is the third link here. It might come up as a first link or second link or even further down the line, but the one you're looking for is current firmware available for Nikon products, and you click on that link. Okay, so once the page loads, you get presented with the current firmware available for Nikon products, and here is where you choose the shortcut, or just skip down the page and you'll find your model, but it will be easier to just click on the shortcut to the type of camera you have, either a compact camera, Nikon 1, or a DSLR. So I'm looking for the D5200's firmware update, so I'm looking for a DSLR. So on the left hand side you can see all the models that have firmwares, and some of them they haven't even got any firmwares. So pretty much all the models, all the DSLR models that Nikon produces and produced are here. So you just go down the list, find your model on the left hand side. So yeah, I'm gonna go for the D5200, which is my model, and on the right hand side you'll see if there's a firmware available for your model, and if it's the same firmware you have, then obviously you just skip that. If it's an updated firmware, then it's advisable that you download and update your camera so you can correct fixes, so you can correct mistakes that they made during the process of developing the software. Also updates to the newest lenses and several other bug fixes. So I'm looking for the D5200, just click. Although this is the same firmware as I'm using now, I'm going to go through the process for the purpose of this video. So you just click on top of the firmware version, or the updated firmware version, and here you can see what has been fixed, what has been added, and pretty much all the corrections that were made to the camera itself. So you just keep on going down, and the minimum you'll need is Windows 98 2nd edition, and if you've got Windows 8.1 it's fine also. On the Macintosh side you need Mac OS X 10.6.8, which is Snow Leopard, and they say that the maximum is Mavericks, but this works fine in every version of the OS that I've tried, including Yosemite. So you just keep on going down, and There's the terms and conditions, and you get to the bottom of the page, and here is where you download the firmware. On the left hand side if you're using Windows, on the right hand side if you're using a Mac. Because I'm using a Mac, I'm going to use the right hand side, but it's pretty much the same thing whether you are using Windows or Mac. It might vary a little bit, but I will explain to you exactly what you need to do. So I'm going to download the firmware. I'll just click on the link and we'll just finish on this page. So if I close that down, and now I just have to wait for the download to be completed. Should take just a few seconds. It's only 20 megabytes of data, very little, so it should be fairly quick. So if you are using Windows, at the end the file might be inside of a zip file or a RAW file, which is a compressed file. If you're using Mac OS X, it's going to be a DMG, so you just have to click on it once and it will just open. You might have to unzip the file if you're using Windows, but the process is exactly the same. So this is my firmware. I just click on it and it will decompress and it will create a folder here. So this is it. So this is what I need to update my camera. You just drill inside this folder and this is your firmware file. So this is what you need to use to update your camera. Obviously the model would be different in your case, and the firmware revision might be different also, but this is pretty much all you need. So now let's transfer this file over to my memory card and update my camera. If you're using a USB cable because you either don't have access to a memory card reader, or just your memory card doesn't fit, or for any other reason, just use the USB cable that came with your camera and plug the camera directly to the USB port on the computer, and then you'll be able to see it exactly like I'm gonna show you now as an external storage device. So let's put in my card reader inside of the computer, and it should appear here on the side. There you go. So this is my card reader, and contrary to current belief that you need to format the card and you need to do all these sorts of things, no. As long as you've used the card in your camera, even if you've got pictures inside, it really doesn't matter. All you need to do is transfer this file here over to your card. If you're using your camera via USB, it's exactly the same thing. Your camera will appear as a folder like this. If you're using Windows, you might need to right click the file and copy it and then paste it inside, or if you're using OS X, you can just drag and drop inside, and once it's done you'll hear that click, and then you just double click on it and you see it's on the root file. So under outside of any folder, as soon as you open the drive, your firmware file should be there. This is where my pictures are, so it needs to be outside of that folder. So once that is copied, all you need to do is eject your memory card. So by doing a right click, if you're using Windows, you go to My Computer, right click on top of your memory card and eject, and it's the same thing here with Mac OS X. Once it's ejected, now it's time to go back to the camera and update the firmware. Okay, so we're back on the camera, and now we're going to update the firmware on our camera. All we need to do is put the memory card back into your camera, just like so. Close the lid, and now let's go to the same place where the firmware section is located. So now, as you can see, firmware version is there. We just click on it, and below the done button there's an update button. Select that and you'll get presented with this screen. At the moment I've got 1.02 and the new one is 1.02. I'm going to go through this process all the time so I can show you exactly what to expect. So you just select yes, and you get presented with this screen. Warning, do not turn camera off during update. Update will take several minutes. You just wait patiently and keep waiting. You finally see a yellow bar there. Okay, once it's completed, you'll be greeted with update complete, turn camera off, and all you do is turn the camera off here, and then you can turn the camera back on. And there you go. Now, because I had the same firmware, obviously the version is going to be exactly the same, but if you had a different firmware up there, then the version will be the same as the one that you've just updated. So this concludes my video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.